Hi friends, welcome to this fourth and final video in our series of basic recording. And we've talked about making your demo, we've talked about recording the vocals, recording the instruments. Now we want to pass along some information on how to put that all together and make a nice sounding recording out of all that. And stay tuned at the end because we have got a very special bonus for you right at the end. All of that coming up right after this. Hey friends, I'm Paul Gibbs.
And I'm Nate Miller.
And we would like to welcome you, as I said, to this fourth and final video in our series of basic recording. And this time we want to talk about putting it all together and making a nice recording out of it and how to make it sound good.
Okay, so the first thing we do in terms of mixing is balance the overall volume of each one of your tracks. Now you might only have one or two tracks if you've just recorded vocals with a guitar or vocals with piano, but if you recorded multiple vocals and multiple instruments like lead vocals, background vocals, piano, bass, guitar, percussion, all these different instruments and voices are going to be on separate tracks. So this is the time when you're going to balance the overall volume or gain for each single one of these different tracks. Basically, you want to think about this. You want to be able to hear every single thing that you recorded. Now, you do have the chance here to kind of highlight tracks if you want to. So maybe you really want your vocal to sit above the instruments, the background music, because you want the lyrics that you're singing, the message that you have for the world to be heard. So this is your chance to balance that now. Or if you get to an instrumental part and you have this screaming electric guitar solo, you might want to boost the volume of that electric guitar at that section of the song, and this is your opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Now, you have probably recorded your tracks dry. In other words, you haven't put any reverb or echo or any other effects on the actual recording. So this is the time to add some reverb or some echo, or also known as delay, some chorus, things like that, to spruce up or sweeten those tracks a little bit. Now, for example, if it's a nice ballad, you want some little reverb on that nice lead vocal that you or somebody else sang. That screaming guitar solo that we just talked about, that probably wants a little bit of delay here and there, especially bouncing back and forth between the left and right channels. We'll talk about panning in a few minutes. But that acoustic guitar, yeah, some chorus effect and a little reverb might be nice on that. So this is the time to put those effects on, but please be careful because too much is very easy to do. So we want to do that very tastefully. It's easy to put too much reverb on that guitar or on that vocal. Been there, done that. So be careful with that. Now let's talk about EQ. Now in the old days, maybe those of you that same vintage as myself, you remember record players that just had a volume control and maybe a tone control, just one. And then maybe a bass and a high control, or a couple of tone controls. Well, today we've got low bass, we got mid bass, we got high bass, we got low mids, high mids, upper highs, upper mid highs. It just goes on and on. We're talking about EQ, so I wanted to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we're talking about EQ, or what's also known as tone, and even though you have a lot more options nowadays, basically you have three. You have your low, middle, and high frequencies, or your bass, mids, and treble. So we talked earlier about setting the overall volume or gain for each and every one of these individual tracks that you recorded. Now you're going to set the tone for each one of those tracks, and this is where you want to kind of sweeten the mix so that the finished product is going to sound exactly like you want the listener to hear. You're going to set these low, middle, and high frequencies for each and every voice and every instrument, and just make it sound and sit sonically exactly where you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and a special tip here is that if you're listening to all of this this music, and it sounds muddy, or it just doesn't sound quite right, it may sound like one of the instruments or one of the voices is too loud or too soft, but that may not be the case. It might be a case of the EQ. It might be, for example, if that guitar just seems to be overwhelming the entire mix, it might not be too loud. It might be that you have maybe too much mid-range on it. You might want to cut that back a little bit. So pay attention to that too. Yeah, so, and then we talk about panning left and right. Yeah. And you know, we've all got two ears, but this is the left one, this is the right one, depending on your perspective. And you know, we all hear in stereo. Now, in the old days, we used to listen to recordings and music in mono, or monophonic is what it used to be called. And then stereo came along, and now we've even got surround sound where, you know, 5.1, 7.1. We're not going to get into that today, but we do want to talk about stereo and mixing things in left and right. So you want to share a little bit about that?
Right, so this is really a chance for you guys to get creative with your arrangement and your mixing. As Paul said, you know, we have the opportunity now to pan stuff either left or right. And this is really important nowadays because, you know, in years past, people were listening to music either on a boombox or a stereo, and all the music or sound was kind of coming right at you. But nowadays, a lot of people are consuming music on their phones through earbuds or headphones. So this is a chance to get creative with your mixing. Don't have everything coming straight at you. You can have some instruments only on the left or only on the right, or panning back and forth. And actually, there's a visual way to kind of picture this. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, as we're listening to music, now picture yourself standing in front of a live band or an orchestra, for example. If you're standing in front of a live band, listening to a band, well, the drums are in the middle, with some cymbals over here and drums over here. Maybe that bass drum is right in the middle. The lead singer, lead vocalist, is probably standing in the middle, but the bass player's over here, the guitar player's over here, the keyboard player, well, somewhere, hopefully right out in front, because I do keyboards. Anyway, so you know, kind of mix your song, mix your instruments in according to how you might hear them, or an orchestra, for example. I mean, all those instruments on a huge stage. So picture your recording, picture your final mix as a stage, and pan those instruments accordingly to left or right to get that nice natural effect. Now, the final and probably most important aspect of your final mix is the overall volume. Now, when you're listening to an album, say by your favorite group, most of the songs on that album are going to be pretty much the same volume. You're not going to have to make any major volume changes. You want your mix, your song, or your songs to be about the same level as other music that people are going to listen to. So if they're listening to somebody else's songs and your song comes on, whether it's a radio or a Spotify mix or whatever, then you don't want them to have to, crank yours way down because it's so loud, or I can't hear it, have to turn it up. So before you do your final mix, before everything's all done, take a listen to some of your favorite groups on your phone, online, whatever. Listen to a few of those songs on the same system, if you can, that you are mixing on, the same computer. And then try to have yours about that same volume. Yeah, that's going to go a long way in making your mix sound just about right.
Okay, so we mentioned a special bonus for you guys in the intro. We want to call your attention to a link we have down below. This is a special checklist that covers the 5 key concepts that we talked about in this video. So if you want to go about mixing on your own, you can print this out and have it as a handy reference list to go through these 5 basic steps to making a great demo.
Yeah. If you got questions on that, please feel free to send us an email. Contact us on our Facebook page at NoteSpire Music. We would love to help you out. Questions on microphones, questions on recording, What is that all about? You got a question? We'll be happy to help you out any way we possibly can. If this seems overwhelming, hey, we're here to help.
And don't forget to subscribe. If this video was helpful to you, please click the like button. Share this with your friends, and come back as often as you can to NoteSpire Music TV for even more great content that's coming out very soon.
Yeah. And until we see you next time, take care of yourselves.
Take care of each other.
We'll see you then. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.